Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, PCI's big problem. Also, the V-Team takes a look at Jeff Sessions' future. And Governor Robert Bentley takes the witness stand.
Chickalini, give me a number from 1 to 10.
11.
Right.
Now I ask you one. What is it has a trunk but no key, weighs 2,000 pounds and lives in a circus?
That's irrelevant.
Irrelevant? Hey, that's the answer. There's a whole lot of relevance in the circus.
That sort of testimony we can eliminate.
That's fine. I'll take some.
You'll take what?
Eliminate. A nice gold glass of lemonade. Hey, boss, I'm going to good.
Well, he won't be that funny, but Spencer Collier may get the last laugh. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V-Team. Welcome all.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Jack, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. Part of it was spent at your house.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
It was good.
14 people up at the farm.
And 2 babies.
And 2 babies.
2 babies. The babies were wonderful, and the people were excellent too.
Yes.
And the food
Everybody had a really good time.
Food was magnificent. Jack, it's been 3 years now since Governor Robert Bentley, then Governor Robert Bentley, fired head of ALEA, Spencer Collier. Mm-hmm. He fired him because Spencer Collier agreed to sign an affidavit saying that there was no investigation into Matt Hart over leaking grand jury information, and Bentley fired him because he would not lie to law enforcement. After that, Bentley went on to smear him, to try to cause him ruin, and Collier sued for wrongful termination, and now Judge Greg Griffin has said that suit can go forward on March 4th, 2019.
Yeah, it's a civil suit.
Right.
And, I always said, having worked on a lot of campaigns over the years and advising candidates, 4 things will get you beat. One of them is greed, one of them is sex, one of them is complacency, if you're an incumbent, and the 4th one is being vindictive. That's what's going to get Bentley, is being vindictive. He, if you just let it go, let the process work, not interfere with it, he wouldn't be in this position today.
I mean, Susan, he had the right to fire him. He could have just fired him, and nothing could have been done. Mm. But after they went after him, he and his alleged girlfriend and Stan Stabler, they went to the public, some of them did, and made all these accusations that make him look like a crook. That you cannot do.
That you cannot undo. I mean, you can't do that. Yes, this is a right-to-work state. He can fire him at will, especially since he serves at the pleasure of the governor. But yet, when they went after him later, they tried to get his medical records. They tried to say he was some sort of drug addict. They tried to say he was stealing from ALEA. They created all of these scenarios that turned out not to be true. You can't do that, and that's why he's in the civil suit.
Well, and I think one of the big things in my mind here is that, Spencer Collier has severe back problems that came from an on-the-job injury in his state service, and they really tried to use all that against him. And he has had to serve as a cop in Selma, a rough place to serve, and just to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. And the state, Susan, has just refused to settle this issue. I think once Robert Bentley gets on the stand, after what we've seen in the transcripts, they're going to wish they'd have settled.
The transcripts that we read, I would love to watch Robert Bentley on that stand because he was so arrogant in what he had to say and so self-serving that a jury is just going to love him.
See, that's what really confuses me about it. Why they won't just settle the claim when he's literally admitted to doing the things that Spencer is saying he did. Why even, take the stand and try to, I'm so confused about his intentions here.
Well, that's one of the things that, and Jack, you brought this up earlier, the Ivey administration, before it took over as governor, went to her representatives went to Spencer Collier and said, how can we settle this thing? And yet when they took office, it just hasn't happened. And this does not sound like the pragmatic Kay Ivey that we've known over the years. She would normally try to get this stuff off her plate.
Yeah, I mean, she wants to have a clean slate, and this isn't helping her any. And I suspect that some of her advisors have told her just don't do anything. Let it take its course. Here's the thing, I consider myself friends with both Robert Bentley and Spencer Collier. Probably a little closer to Spencer, but and I'm with what y'all just said about it's a right to work state. You can fire people for whatever, but when his insurance expired the day he was fired, isn't that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's when I said Bentley doesn't have a heart.
Yeah. Well, I think more.
No, and he had just come out of back surgery a week or two before that.
Oh, yeah. And these people have basically suffered bankruptcy as a result of what was done to them. And the other thing that, firing Spencer Collier is what really brought Robert Bentley down. Because
it got the ball rolling.
Yeah, it got the ball rolling big time.
The entire thing just boils down to this is a case of Bentley and Mud Cricket trying to destroy a man's livelihood in his entire life.
Yep. You don't want to read the definition of mud cricket on
No.
there.
No, we can't go there.
Bring that up.
Well, Susan, Matt Hart is out. We have heard from some of the most powerful politicians and power brokers in the state. On one side, they went after him, but now that they have fired Hart, there is outrage at Steve Marshall that he is yet to encounter. But there are some long knives out for Steve Marshall.
He's really made a lot of powerful people very angry over the firing of Matt Hart. There were, I think, 12 different cases. There's 2 ongoing grand juries, and all of a sudden to fire Matt Hart?
Yeah.
He's got problems.
It seems like this Jack is another guy who's just out of touch with the political realities. Matt Hart knows where all the bodies are buried.
Hell, he dug the hole.
And from what we understand, we saw the tape where he says he's not getting rid of Hart right after the primary, and then boom, 13 days later. The thing that bothers me is that there are at least a half or 2 dozen cases out there, investigations that are still ongoing, and from what we hear, they're just going to shut them down.
We don't know that, though. We don't know enough about Hart Morris to know, is she going to go, pursue the things that Matt started? Yeah. We don't know. But I don't think she's got that kind of a background. I don't know that. But, things that I've heard recently, like Jimmy Rain Yellowfella gave Steve Marshall a big contribution.
Yes, he did.
And part of I'm going to give you this, but I need you to get rid of Matt Hart. Yeah. And that came to me from a pretty reliable source.
Well, and I don't know that Mr. Rain said anything like that. I mean, I know that he's been a big supporter of those that supported Mike Hubbard. One thing we do know, we all wish we had friends like Jimmy Rain when we got in trouble. Mm-hmm. But having said that, right?
But he's got his hands full at Auburn right now.
Yeah, exactly. But having said that, there were a lot of people that wanted to see Matt Hart go. But now that he's gone, there are people that fear, because as my old Pat used to say, better to have him inside the tent than outside the tent.
Yeah, didn't quite
I mean, it's just upsetting. We really don't have anybody now with history in white-collar criminals that can do anything about this. We have lost, our last saving grace.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back with more news and opinion.
You'll never guess what 400,000 people in the U.S. were using when they crashed their cars last year. No, not this. This. Distracted driving will kill you. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
Two-thirds of drivers who died in car crashes chose to ignore this warning. Seatbelts save lives. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to The Bee, the voice of Alabama politics. Jack, there's been a lot of speculation, a couple of news articles recently speculating that former Senator, former Attorney General Jeff Sessions may want his old job back. God only knows why he might want it back, but there's a lot of speculation out there.
I think he did a good job, and I think that, he probably misses it because he had a lot of friends in the Senate, obviously. I mean, I know a lot of the guys voted against him. I think they all respect him. But why would the hell would a man want to be a junior senator at age 70 or however old?
Right, he'd be number 98 or 100 or 99 or 100, Susan. I mean, because his seniority is what matters in the Senate. So why would he do it?
Why would he do it? I mean, since he went to be Attorney General, he cannot get his seniority back. So why not just enjoy bouncing grandbabies on your knee instead of trying to fight to be, first of all, to get elected, and then to be a junior senator? Well,
and Bradley Byrne appears to be running. We hear that Gary Palmer may be looking at it. State Senator Dale Marsh is certainly looking at it. But I think you think
they run if Jeff runs?
That's a good question, because there was polling done by the congressional candidates this last time, and they asked them to go in and poll Jeff Sessions, while they were at it. And his poll numbers were, Charlie, they just weren't great. I mean, they just certainly weren't great.
I mean, it really doesn't surprise me. I'm especially like down here in the South when, Trump supporters really turned on Jeff Sessions. I mean, he's not as popular as he used to be, and I really don't see him gaining any of that back.
Well, and this is one of the questions that I have. Donald Trump has been vicious to Jeff Sessions. Mm-hmm. And, you can say that he stops being vicious once he gets his way. But if Sessions pops up and he wants to come back to the Senate, do we really think that
the man with no impulse control can not say something about it?
Now, hang on a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We had a big fight about this.
Huge
fight before the show. I don't think if Jeff runs, and I kind of hope he doesn't, just because he's been there, done that kind of deal. I don't think Donald Trump is going to come down here and actively campaign against Jeff Sessions.
He doesn't have to come down here. He has his Twitter account that he does everything through to start with. And why would he want Jeff Sessions back up there being a thorn in his side?
How do you know he's going to be a thorn in his side? Philosophically, they're on the same page.
He did ask him to resign, though.
Well, I've been asked to resign before.
Well, and we were kind of thinking about that.
One person I end up being friends with, the other I hate. But.
Well, the funny thing is, though, and this is a serious reality we should look at, is when are we going to stop? I mean, it takes 20 years to get seniority in the Senate.
Well, we got Shelby. My God, he's been there since day one.
But if Shelby leaves in 4 years, that will leave us at the bottom of the barrel, that's for sure. But I want to talk about something else here. Speaking of Senator Shelby's chief of staff, Katie Britt, they will take a final vote of the entire board of BCA whether to bring her on, Susan, as the president and CEO of the Business Council of Alabama. We hear she's got the votes to be the new CEO and president.
Yeah, that vote's coming down on December 7th. Yep. If it goes in her favor, I believe it'll be announced that night. We're very excited, and she's very excited to be coming home. This will be a whole new, fresh face for BCA. I think it's going to be wonderful.
I mean, Charlie, if you look at it, you've got this is the millennial generation, or I guess millennial generation individual, very talented, has worked in all aspects of government, from a college SGA president all the way up, and now she's going to head the most powerful business organization. What is the message it sends to people your age and young females in politics?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing for us. I'm 100% look up to Katie Britt. It is so refreshing to see a young face, as intelligent and as accomplished as she is, to see her get a position like that. And I really, if anybody can right the wrongs that BCA has done, I believe Katie Britt can.
Jack, it had to be interesting when she was sitting around with that executive board and there are all those men in there.
Well, and I think that's probably part of the problem is stagnation. And I think because it's Alabama Alliance for Business Industry and Associated Industries of Alabama merged to become BCA. Right. And they brought in the Chambers of Commerce. And it was a big deal. But it's really a lot of the leadership are older guys. And I think it'll be a good shot in the arm for them. And it'll probably bring in some younger companies that want a voice in the legislature.
And another thing that's really positive about Katie that was negative about Canary lost all his connections in D.C. Katie's coming in with the support of Sessions, which means
you mean Shelby?
I mean, I'm sorry, Shelby, which means she's already got all these D.C. connections. I think it's really going to be good for BCA.
Yeah, well, and she's well liked on the Hill, and I think will be well respected, Jack. I think she will be. I don't think she's going to have any problems.
I mean, she's obviously well respected, or she wouldn't have even been in the running.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I go back to something?
Yes, please do.
We talked about back to the Senate race. Why? It seems like, all right, Bradley Byrne is what, in his 63, something like that? Dale Marsh is what, 60 maybe?
Somewhere. They're all in their early
Gary
60s.
Palmer, I don't think that's a good thing for us to do, is to send older people to D.C. I mean, Shelby's been there a long time. At some point, he's going to leave or resign or die. I mean, he loves it and he's still vibrant and all that. But I think our junior senator needs to be somebody in our 50s, in their 50s or 40s.
Well,
that'd be great.
You know, this is the thing I keep saying. The baby boom generation, especially the early ones, the ones that were the hippies and all that, they said, don't trust anybody over 30. Now that they're in their late 60s and 70s, they're going, don't trust anybody under 65.
Oh, but there's a point where you've got, like Jack said, you've got to be realistic about this.
I'll be 63 in a couple of weeks.
No, say it's not so.
Yeah, well, tell you what, body's worn out, 12 faces. But I don't want somebody my age going up there. I really don't. I want someone young with a great future, who's a compromiser and that's
what we've been trying to do. We're trying very hard to do that.
And here's the point in that too. If you've got somebody that's 60 and it took Sessions and Shelby 20 years to get any type of seniority, you're talking about somebody not getting seniority till they're in their 80s.
Yeah, but you're looking at a guy like Bill Poole, who has all the credentials. You know, I don't hear anybody talking about a Bill Poole or any...
Bill Hightower, is he thinking? Oh, he's thinking about running for Congress.
Yeah, you don't see that. You don't see them taking the bull by the horn and saying, I'm going to run, or you don't see anybody saying, I'm putting the money behind you. The same thing for like a John Merrill. But we're going to have to hold it right there. We'll be right back. We'll be right back with more news and analysis. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics.
You'll never guess what 400,000 people in the U.S. were using when they crashed their cars last year. No, not this. This. Distracted driving will kill you. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation. Two-thirds of drivers who died in car crashes chose to ignore this warning. Seatbelts save lives. Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, we're going to have to get down in the weeds just a little bit on this one, but it's a very, very important subject for our state and something that's nuanced but not complicated. Josh Boone wrote a story this week for APR in which he discussed how the Porch Creek Indians did not participate that heavily in this last election cycle. They did offer some money to the governor. She returned it. She said she didn't want their money. They gave about $50,000 to the Speaker of the House as PAC. They gave some money here, some money there. But no big donations like in 2014 when they put $1 million plus into running against Luther Strange. One of the things that Josh looked into is that under the Trump administration, they might not have as many friends in the administration as they did in the Obama administration. Now, we go back a couple of years ago, Bradley Byrne, who represents their district down in South Alabama, he put forth a bill that would fix the carcieri ruling. What that is it says that any tribe that was not taken, land was taken into reserve after 1934, they are kind of questionable whether it actually can have a reservation, the tribe, all the perks, the gambling, and all this stuff. So to fix that, Bradley Byrne tried to get a bill passed. It passed in the House, went to the Senate. Richard Shelby blocked it. Richard Shelby says no carcieri fix, no safety net for PCI because they are trying to own Alabama. Now, we fast forward to the Trump administration, and they have done something to tribes that has not been done in several generations or if ever.
Yeah, I forget what state it's in, but the Trump administration has come out and said that one of the tribes that comes under this carcieri type situation, that they are indeed not a recognized tribe anymore, and therefore that the United States is going to take back that land. Now, the problem here for PCI is that tribe was actually recognized before they were. PCI wasn't recognized until the 1980s. So, and them being, older than that, it's very possible the Trump administration could come in and tell PCI that they too do not qualify.
Yeah, I mean, this was a Connecticut outfit up there. They were taken into trust. They said they'd take land into trust in '77. They wanted to take this land into trust, and the Trump administration said, nah, that's all right, we'll take it back.
Well, I mean, I think the Porch Creek were probably pretty smart to lay low in this election, not make a lot of noise. Plus, for God's sake, what incumbent had a tough race?
Right.
I mean, there were a couple, but I mean, why waste your money on that? I think they're in the catbird seat if they just lay low and, they do give back to the community where they operate, and that's a good thing. But there are a lot of people, including myself, that don't believe they should have a monopoly on gaming.
I don't either. And Governor Kay Ivey has signaled she would not support a carcieri fix for them, just like Richard Shelby. But the other interesting thing, Susan, is that most recently, there's been talk of a state compact. But the only way to get a state compact is for there to be legal gaming already in the state.
Right.
And so that we don't necessarily have, which is questionable. There's some places operating. The sensible thing would be for the Porch Creek to come to the legislature and for Green Track and for the other ones to come to the legislature and work out a deal so we could have the gaming that we need to pay for the funds that we don't have.
Right. I mean, it only makes sense that you put all of this stuff into play. Go ahead and get a lottery, uphold the constitutional amendments that they have agreed in Macon County, give the Porch Creek a compact, and do all of this as a package instead of trying to just, do it here and there. Because the only way that the Porch Creek can continue to operate, like you said, with a compact is we have legal gambling. Now, that's not an Alabama rule. That is an IGRA rule. The Indian Gaming Regulatory Board says that if gaming is legal in a state, then you must give the Indians the right to have gaming too. So until they recognize Macon and Greene County, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's the mess that was created by Bob Riley, and we're still trying to figure it out. And it would be a real simple fix if all the players would come together, right, Jack?
Yeah, I agree, but are they going to sit down? It doesn't look like it.
That's what I was saying. I don't ever see that happen.
I think Milton kind of wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Because I had a discussion with him once about it in his office, and, Milton was kind of a hail fellow. Well, let's sit down and see what happens. I don't think he wanted to instigate it, but I think he would have participated.
I think the smart thing is we got infrastructure that we're going to have to deal with. Even though the revenue is going well, we're going to still have problems with Medicaid. There's problems with the children's health program, CHIPS. We're going to have more revenue. There's a simple fix. I don't care what you say. We need all the revenue we can get.
Gas tax is not going to fix all this.
No,
folks.
it is not.
It is not going to fix it.
I want to switch off to a not so pleasant subject here. Recently in Hoover, there was a shooting over Thanksgiving where there was a scuffle. An armed individual shot an 18-year-old man, and also a stray bullet hit a 12-year-old Charlie. The police officers responded and shot a 21-year-old black man who was an Army officer who reportedly was trying to usher people out of the building, and he had his pistol and was like I said, a serviceman. But Twitter has been just vicious to this young man, or Facebook has been vicious to this young man. And the police, it took them at least 24 hours to acknowledge they killed the wrong person, and it took them 4 or 5 days to get around to admitting it.
Oh, because they made sure to come out and run their victory lap right after they took him down.
And he was the wrong man. Twitter, Facebook has blown up about this, and much of it negative about this young man.
Negative about the young man, and that's really what surprised me the most. Honestly, I didn't waste my time reading a lot of them just because I knew they were complete BS. But just certain articles circulating trying to discredit his time in the military, saying he was never in the Army, just blatant lies, just doing anything they can to support and I'm not saying I do support to an extent the cops' decision. I get it's chaotic. You don't always know what's going on. Jonathan, our producer, explained it to us before the show, what's really going through a cop's mind in that situation. But I really believe it was, lack of training on law enforcement's part, and in no way was it this young man's fault that he died.
Right, and the fact was the cops were rushed to judgment. They came out and said that they had gotten the shooter, and then they were hesitant to handle it properly. And Susan, it was some 4 or 5 days later before we got the whole truth on it.
Yeah, and they did finally catch the guy in Atlanta on Thursday, the correct guy that did it. But no, the bottom line is it was handled very poorly by the Hoover Police Department.
And a young man lost his life who did not have to
Who was trying
die.
to protect others and exercising his Second Amendment right to have a gun and use it.
In sociology, you learn there's no conscience to a mob. And when you hear gunshots and people are scrambling for the doors, a man draws his gun to try to help herd people out. We weren't there. We don't know. We just have to wait for the
Apparently,
investigation.
there were many people there with guns drawn, though.
Yeah.
So and I'm not screaming racial bias whatsoever.
No, you're screaming Second Amendment.
But what we're saying is, this is the Alabama that people say they want. There are consequences when everybody's armed. We're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.